already discussed in detail that is what the aerobic, what is the anaerobic path, right? In the starting of this class. So anaerobic pathway, we know the name itself tells that in anaerobic pathway, oxygen is not required for the respiration. And again, the substrate, whenever we study the substrate, the standard substrate is the glucose. So we consider glucose as a substrate. So here what happened? One more thing, Martin, I want to let you know that whatever the cycle goes on, right? Whatever the type of the respiration is, but the glycolysis cycle have to be there for sure, right? Since glycolysis is the part of the both of the cycle, aerobic or anaerobic, that you have to keep in your mind. And when we talk about the Krebs cycle do not goes on over here. It's a bit different, right? So Krebs cycle goes on only in where aerobic respiration. Why? Because the mitochondria is present in aerobes, or we can say mitochondria is present in those eukaryotic organisms, which are basically responsible for aerobic respiration, right? So look, in anaerobic respiration, glucose breakdown, I have written over here glycolysis, right? You have to note it down as well. So in glucose breakdown into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate G3. We know then that in glycolysis it happens that glucose breakdown to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Then what happened? Formation of NADH takes place, means energy production takes place. Again, the G3P glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate breakdown to PGA, phosphoglyceric acid, right? PGA, we know that this is also the product of the glycolysis. After PGA, formation of phosphoenol pyruvate takes place, PEP takes place, or we call it that is pyruvic acid, right? Or pyruvate. So formation of pyruvic acid takes place. Alia is fine. Still, Sritika is not there. Alia, audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. You people are late today.
Yes, sir. I have some net problems.
Okay, fine. No issue. Still, Sritika is not there. Uh, look, uh, so what I was telling that we have done already the Krebs cycle in the last class, and today we are doing the anaerobic respiration. So start with this slide only. So what I said that in anaerobic respiration also the glycolysis takes place like the same way it takes place in the aerobic respiration. So again, whenever we talk about the any type of the respiration, the standard substrate that will be the glucose. So glucose break down into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate G3, right? Again, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate breaks down into phosphoenol 3-phosphoglyceric acid PGA, right? So whenever the formation of PGA takes place from G3P, what happened? Formation of NADH takes place. We know that the NADH is also a form of the energy, right? Which is equivalent to 380. So again, the formation of energy takes place over here. Phosphoglyceric acid PGA breaks down into phosphoenol pyruvate or PEP. PEP, when I say PEP, it means pyruvic acid or pyruvate, right? So from here, from glucose to PEP, this is the glycolysis cycle. So same the glycolysis cycle which was there in the aerobic respiration, same glycolysis cycle goes on over here, right? Then this pyruvic acid. So now you can see there are two arrows. One arrow goes upward and another arrow goes downward. Look, anaerobic respiration takes place in two places, right? Whenever this anaerobic respiration takes place with the help of any bacteria, with the help of any fungi, we have discussed same thing. With the help of this is called fermentation, right? In this process, formation of the end product will be ethyl alcohol, or we can say the byproduct will be ethyl alcohol. So ethyl alcohol formation takes place, and we use it for the fermentation. Means whenever we make the bread, whenever we make the cake, whenever we make the alcohol or beer and all that, right? on that on those purposes, we use the fermentation process. And for fermentation, we use the yeast, we use the bacteria. So look, pyruvic acid break down into ethanol and carbon dioxide. Again, the production of again the consumption of energy takes place over here. So the net product is ethanol and carbon dioxide, and plus energy is utilized over here. Look, ethyl alcohol or yeast formation takes place with the help of here. Here the pyruvic acid breaks down into acetaldehyde plus carbon dioxide, and acetaldehyde again break down into ethanol plus NAD plus. So whenever this fermentation takes place with the help of bacteria, here pyruvic acid plus NADH means the energy is consumed, and formation of lactic acid plus NAD plus takes place. But now this is the special case. The same anaerobic respiration takes place in our muscles as well. That is in exceptional cases. Try to understand. This can be asked, and this both can be your question, right? Either you can get a 3-marker question, describe the process of fermentation, or describe the anaerobic respiration, right? So that you have to describe the same thing. Then what you will do? You have to describe this glycolysis cycle, then from pyruvic acid, then ethanol part. You have not to cover this part, right? But whenever you get a question that why the muscle cramps takes place in the legs of athlete or in the body of athlete, right? So whenever we people do extra exercise or excessive exercise, right, or excessive running, so during the running, during the long run, during the excessive exercise, what happened? After some time, the muscle cramp start in our body, right? Basically, whenever we start running, we start after running a long time, our thigh, in our thigh, the muscle cramp start. So how does those muscle cramp start, and why those muscle cramp start? Basically, whenever athlete start running, so he or she start taking oxygen and start breathing rapidly. So breathing start abruptly. So breathing keeps on going on, right? Breathing going on, and lungs do their job with the full capacity. Heart do its job with the full capacity. Lung take the oxygen, and heart supply them. But still, the demand which is raised by the muscles of thigh cannot be fulfilled, right? What happened? So suppose that 100 ml oxygen is required by the muscles of thigh, but that cannot be fulfilled because body, lungs, and heart, they have their capability. They cannot go beyond their capability. So what happened? Scarcity of oxygen takes place in those muscles where oxygen do not reach properly. Those muscles start anaerobic respiration. And what happened? The pyruvic acid break down into lactic acid, right? And energy is consumed, right? That's how the power is given to our muscles. But what happened? This lactic acid get deposited between those muscles where the anaerobic respiration have taken place. The deposition of lactic acid is responsible for muscular cramp. Whenever, now this is the story which is covered in your chapter, your course curriculum. I want to tell you what happened with this lactic acid, right? And how does uh, the tiredness is removed or fatigue is removed when we take the rest. Whenever we take the rest, the body come to its normal state or equilibrium state. The lungs start the normal supply of oxygen, heart start the normal supply of the oxygen, and the muscles demand reduces. On that time, what happens? This lactic acid is transported to the liver. When it goes to the liver, this lactic acid is broken down over there in liver, right? And again, it is reutilized in the form of pyruvic acid. Liver convert into pyruvic acid, and pyruvic acid is again utilized in aerobic respiration. When lactic acid is transported from our muscles to the blood, it is removed from there, then the muscle cramp reduces and get removed, and we feel relaxed condition, and fatigue is removed. So that is the process. Tell me, did you got all thing or not? Martin and Alia,
Yes, sir.
everything clear or not? Everything clear, 100%.
Yes, sir.
So I want both of you to note down this complete cycle and put a line between this. Put a line here. Let me put a line. when I'm trying to put a line. So, put a line over here. So, Martin, clear? Tell me, Martin, is it clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Great. So please note down quickly. Then I will dictate. Done?
Yes, sir.
Martin, is it done? Martin.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, you have to start down. So, the above one which happened discussed, that is the lactic acid fermentation. The below process which happened below the arrow, right? The process which have been mentioned below the arrow, that is the ethyl alcohol fermentation. So, we have to write down about the what is the fermentation. Suppose that you get the question, what is the fermentation? Define the fermentation, and or what is the reason behind the muscular cramp in the uh, legs of athlete, right? Or how does the anaerobic respiration takes place in the body of athlete, or when we do heavy exercise? So all that. So the question can be in any form, right? But what will be the format? First, we will describe what is the anaerobic respiration. Then we have to describe about the ethyl alcohol or lactic acid fermentation, right? So please start noting down. First, put the heading. What is the anaerobic respiration? Start writing on anaerobic respiration. It is the process of it is the process of release of energy, release of energy enzymatically enzymatically controlled, stepwise, incomplete, stepwise, incomplete degradation of stepwise incomplete degradation of organic food without oxygen being used as oxidant. Full stop. Therefore, and product are therefore and product are never completely inorganic. Completely inorganic. How? Look, in aerobic respiration, the end product is the carbon dioxide, water, and energy. All are inorganic. In anaerobic respiration, the end product are what is the ethyl alcohol or lactic acid, right? Plus carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is inorganic, but lactic acid and ethyl alcohol are not inorganic. They are the organic. Next point. Uh, in microorganism, in microorganism, in microorganism, the the term fermentation is more commonly used where anaerobic respiration, where anaerobic respiration is known after is known after the name of product, the name of product like alcoholic fermentation, comma, lactic acid fermentation. Next point. The mechanism of anaerobic respiration or fermentation, the mechanism of anaerobic respiration or fermentation is similar to common pathway of aerobic respiration after glycolysis. Full stop.
So can you repeat after similar to common pathway?
Okay. The mechanism of anaerobic respiration or fermentation is similar to common pathway of aerobic respiration up to glycolysis. Means still this part I told you. Up to glycolysis. Full stop. Glycolysis breaks down a molecule of glucose into two molecule of pyruvate, two molecule of pyruvate, 2 ATP, two molecule of pyruvate, 2 ATP, and 2 NADH and 2 NADH, right? So as I already told you, what will happen even in anaerobic respiration? The same thing will happen in anaerobic respiration. Just a minute. So anaerobic pathway or anaerobic respiration. I told you that the steps are common from, so the same thing, that one molecule of that will be broken down into two molecule of pyruvate or pyruvate, right? Then the process which have been taken, that is the glycolysis. The same process takes place in aerobic respiration, right? Here, what it is saying that along with the two pyruvic acid, what will happen? Two ATP will be produced. That is true. You will get two ATP along with that, right? And along with that, you will get two NADH. I have already told you that there is also another net gain of 8 ATP. The same thing is happening. 2 ATP here and 2 NADH. So 2 3 are 6 ATP, right? So again, you are getting the net 2 ATP. 8 ATP equivalent, right? So 8 ATP equivalent energy is produced over. What will happen after this? After this, there are two paths, right? What we discussed. So when it takes place with the help of microorganism, we call it preferably fermentation, right? So this is ethyl alcohol fermentation and lactic acid fermentation. So the process will take place in lactic acid fermentation. In lactic acid fermentation, the formation of lactic acid takes place. You know that during the time of fatigue, right? Fatigue means muscle cramp. The same process will take place. curd formation. Curd formation. The same process will take place, right? And the second, in lactic acid formation, it takes place with the help of bacteria, basically lactobacillus bacteria. You know that are responsible for curd making, right? And another process, that is the alcoholic fermentation. Right? Here the product will be alcoholic fermentation. Alcoholic fermentation, where does it take place? We know that the bread industry, bread making, right? Cake making, when cake making the process goes on, right? And this alcoholic fermentation also during the brewery, right? In alcoholic drink formation, right? Like whiskey, beer, and all that, right? So these are the two processes. Please start coding now. Note down this one as well. It's a better way to explain. Note down this flow chart, and then we have to note down in short that what is the lactic acid fermentation, what is the alcoholic fermentation. So the main heredity being anaerobic respiration, and further anaerobic respiration, we have divided anaerobic respiration into two parts: lactic acid and alcoholic one. Quickly. Done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Martin, done? So the next heading, subheading will be uh, alcoholic fermentation. Alcoholic fermentation or ethyl alcohol fermentation. It is quite common. Alcoholic fermentation. It is quite common in fungi and bacteria. It is quite common in fungi and bacteria. Next, this is very important. Yeast can respire. Yeast can respire both aerobically and anaerobically. Yeast can respire both aerobically and anaerobically. Ferment. So basically, alcoholic fermentation. Yeast is the key organism which is used in both alcohol making and bread and all that. Right? What happened? You can write down this reaction. Pyruvate that breaks down acetaldehyde plus carbon dioxide. Right? The presence of enzyme pyruvate decarboxylase. By the way, the enzymes are not that much required for you. In case if you remember it, it's good. If you don't, it's also okay. For your school examination. Acetaldehyde. Again, it is broken down with the utilization of NADH. NADH into C2H5OH ethyl plus NAD. The enzyme which is required, that is the alcohol dehydrogenase. Alcohol dehydrogenase. First note down reaction, then I will tell you. One more line you need to note down. Done? Noted? Martin, done? Alia?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
note down.
sir.
Note down below these two reactions. Ethyl alcohol does not stay. Ethyl alcohol does not stay inside microorganism, but is excreted. Right? That's it. This was the alcoholic ferment. The next one is the lactic acid ferment. Here what happened that note down. The fermentation occur in lactic acid bacteria. Basically, in short, we call them lab. The group of bacteria are called lab. Lactic acid bacteria. Like, for example, the curd making bacteria like lactobacillus. You must have listened about this. Lactobacillus. So it's a type of lab. All those bacteria which break down to lactic acid, they are called lab. Some fungi and in human muscle. Some fungi and in muscle, not human. some fungi, and in muscles of animal. Full stop. Lactic acid produced in muscle, produced in muscles, is sent to liver, is sent to liver to regenerate glucose. To regenerate glucose. Now write down the reaction. Pyruvic acid. You know that pyruvic acid formation taken place in glycolysis. Then NADH, NADH, lactic acid, plus NAD and lactic dehydrogenase. That is the enzyme which is got it. So this is all about the anaerobic respiration. I think it should be clear to both of you. Tell me if you have any doubt in any reaction or anywhere. Crabe cycle I have already explained you. And finally, the electron transport system we will study. That is given in your book in page number 332. This is almost similar to the electron transport system we studied in chloroplast part in photosynthesis. Is that clear? First tell me, Ali and Martin, both of you. Alia, Martin, anaerobic respiration clear?
Yes, sir.
Great. Martin, what about you? It's crystal clear? Tell me. Martin, am I audible? Tell me, is it clear? I haven't listened to you. Where are you? Are you there or slept? Hello, Martin. Can message me if is there any problem? Look, the electron transport we studied in chloroplast. Chloroplast was also a double membrane structure, and the mitochondria is also a double membrane. Try to understand carefully. Martin, are you there or not? Tell me quickly. No. Alia, you are there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Martin, I don't know why he's not responding. Okay, no issue. There may be some problem. Fine. So try to understand. What is the electron transport cycle? How does it take place? First, let me tell you in this way. You can do one thing. You can note it down. This cycle after the class, right? And please do note down this cycle after the class because you won't find this cycle in book, right? The cycle which have been given in your book, your NCRT, and even in helping book, they are very complex, right? This is the easiest way, and this is very, very good explanation. So try to understand how does it take place. So we have already understood that when the leakage of hydrogen takes place, due to leakage of hydrogen, the formation of ATP takes place. Now, Alia, I want answer from you. How many hydrogen? We have already discussed the same thing, electron transport system in plant photosynthesis part, right? So tell me, how many hydrogen ions should leak for the formation of 1 ATP? I have explained that. Come on.
The two?
Very good. Excellent. Very good. Very good. That chemoosmotic theory. Remember?
Yes, sir.
You did the chemoosmotic theory, right? The same thing is working over. And in chemoosmotic theory, you have written that. The chemoosmotic theory explain the formation of ATP in the mitochondria as well as the same thing happen over. What happened? When NAD break down into NAD plus. So when NADH break down into NADS plus and hydrogen ion, formation of release of electron takes place. These two electron reaches complex number 1. What are these complex? So all these complex are present. They are protein complex, right? And these complex are present in the inner membrane of mitochondria. This is the outer membrane of mitochondria. This is the inner membrane of mitochondria. And this is the matrix part of the mitochondria, right? The outer membrane of between the outer and inner membrane of the mitochondria, there is an intermembrane space. This is the space between two membranes. What happened when NADH break down into NAD plus? So we have already discussed that 1 NADH is equal to 3 ATP. Why this? How does it equation? Prove it. So here I am proving this equation. Why 1 NADH is equal to 3 ATP. Try to understand. When 1 NADH will break down, 2 electron will be released. These 2 electron will reach complex 2. When these electron will pass through the complex number 1, when these electron will pass through the complex number 1, what will happen? This complex number 1 will pick up 2 hydrogen ion, and these 2 hydrogen ion will be pumped into intermembrane space. Now electron pass through it and 2 hydrogen ion pumped. Now these electron will reach to the complex Q, right? It will not pump electron, hydrogen ion or proton. Now these electron will reach to the complex third. From after the complex first, there is directly complex third. Complex second is not there, right? Now they will reach to the complex third. When they will reach, electron will pass through the complex third. Again, this will also do the same thing. It will pump out 2 hydrogen ion from matrix to the intermembrane space. Now total 4 hydrogen ion pumped due to the NADH. Now these 2 electron will reach to cytochrome complex C. Cytochrome complex C is present in the outer part, then it will not pump the electron. Again, now when the electron will reach to the cytochrome complex 4, right? Again, it will pump in 2 hydrogen ion, total 6 hydrogen ion pumped in due to break it down of 1 NADH, right? Now, what will happen? This electron will be finally accepted by the oxygen molecule and formation of water takes place. Is that clear, Alia?
Yes, sir.
So how many hydrogen ion accumulated due to breakdown of 1 NADH? Tell me.
6.
Very good. So total 6 hydrogen ion, right? So total 6 hydrogen ion are there. Now what will happen? Hydrogen ion concentration will be high in the intermembrane space and low in the matrix. So what will happen? That these hydrogen ion will leak out from the ATP synthase enzyme. When 2 hydrogen ion will leak out, formation of 1 ATP will take place. When 6 hydrogen ion will leak out, how many ATP will be formed?
Sir, 3.
Very good. That's how it is proved that 1 NADH is equal to 3 ATP. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Again, what will happen? I have told you the another concept. 1 FADH is equal to 2A. So how now let's prove. So NADH were consumed in Crabe cycle, right? Now again FADH. So this FADH will break down into FAD plus 2 hydrogen. Now the hydrogen, it will release 2 electrons. These 2 electrons will pass through the complex second, but complex second is not, it do not traverse through membrane. It is present only in inner part. So it will not pump in electron, hydrogen ion, right? Now these electron will reach to the cytochrome complex quinine complex. From quinine complex, it will reach to cytochrome complex third. When it will pass through the cytochrome complex third, 2 hydrogen ion are pumped in. Again, it will reach to cytochrome complex C, no hydrogen ion pumped in. Reach to the cytochrome complex 4, again 2 hydrogen ion pumped in. So how many hydrogen ion are pumped in due to breakdown of FeTH2? How many, Alia? 4 hydrogen ion?
Four. Yes,
Right.
sir.
Finally, the electron, again same as the above process. Finally, the electrons are taken by the oxygen molecule and formation of water takes place. Now, these 4 hydrogen ion will leak inside the matrix. So, due to leakage of 2 hydrogen ion, 1 ATP is formed. Due to leakage of 4 hydrogen ion, 2 ATP is formed. That's why 1 FADH is equal to 2 ATP. Is that true? Alia?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, this is the electron transport chain of the mitochondria. Martin, are you back? Or still or you are not there?
Yes, sir. I was in the washroom.
Okay, fine. So did you got this complex, complete concept of
Yes,
mitochondria? Okay. So better you have to note it down, or you can take the screenshot. You can note after the class. Please leave the space. Note down. There is nothing to note down that electron transport in electron transport. Then you need not theory is not there. If you'll get the electron transport, then you have to note down like this. Fine. So last but not the least, everything clear? If you have any doubt, please you can ask me. No doubt?
No doubt, sir.
Great. So last but not the least, even this is the last diagram in the your NCERT book. So amphibolic pathway. What is the amphibolic pathway? Try to understand. Can you tell me what is the amphibolic pathway? Anyone of you? Try to. There are 2 types of the pathway: catabolic and anabolic. Catabolic pathway are destructive pathway. When destruction of something takes place, that's the catabolic pathway. By respiration, in respiration, the destruction of glucose molecule takes place into pyruvate. Pyruvate again breaks down into carbon dioxide and formation of energy takes place. So destruction of molecule is taking place and energy is generated. So respiration is catabolic pathway, right? What is the anabolic pathway? Anabolic pathway is there where synthesis is taking place, formation is taking place. Where? Like photosynthesis, carbon dioxide and water are utilized and formation is glucose is taking place. That is a synthesis. Means something is formed, right? Formation of something taking place, synthesis of something taking. That is called anabolic pathway. The process where both of the pathway goes on, we call that amphibolic pathway. Got it or not?
Yes, sir.
So first, let me tell you this pathway, and then I will tell you. You will get a question. Describe or discuss why the Crabe cycle is considered amphibolic pathway, not catabolic pathway, or prove that Crabe cycle is not only catabolic pathway, it is amphibolic pathway. Right? Justify this statement, this kind of the question. It is very important question. Very important question. So let me tell you. I have already told you that if any of the substrate, so we have discussed that substrate, or rather than substrate, respiratory substrate. Respiratory substrate we have discussed in the last class. So there can be multiple respiratory substrate. So main respiratory substrate are fat, carbohydrate, and protein. First, come to the fat. Fat will break down into fatty acid and glycerol. Fatty acid will directly convert into acetyl coenzyme A, and you know acetyl coenzyme A will directly go into Krebs. Glycerol will be converted into dihydroxyacetone phosphate (DHAP). DHAP will convert into G3P. Again, the glycolysis. G3P will be converted into pyruvic acid, then acetyl coenzyme A and Krebs and energy. That's how the respiratory substrate glucose is fat is utilized. Come to the carbohydrate. Carbohydrate break down to glucose. Glucose break down into G3P. In glycolysis, G3P into pyruvate and acetyl coenzyme A and Krebs. What about the protein? Protein break down into amino acid into pyruvic acid into acetyl coenzyme A and Krebs. That's how the substrates are being used, right? But what was the question? Justify, if you want, you can note down. Justify that, note down this question. Justify that Krebs cycle is an amphibolic pathway, not catabolic pathway. Look, how we justify, yes, in the Krebs cycle, everything breaks down. But from acetyl coenzyme A, synthesis of multiple intermediary compound takes place, like fatty acid, steroid, terpene, aromatic compound, and carotenoids. So these are synthesized. So in Krebs cycle, the intermediary product of the Krebs cycle, this synthesize also something. That's why this is an amphibolic pathway, not catabolic pathway. Did you got my point? Both of you, Martin and Alia.
So can you repeat?
Look, yes, we do agree that in Krebs cycle everything breaks down, or in respiration everything breaks down. But acetyl coenzyme A is the intermediary product of Krebs cycle. Yes or not? Is it? Yeah, it's intermediary product. This acetyl coenzyme A is utilized in the synthesis of fatty acid, steroid, turpentine, aromatic compound, and carotenoid in plant. So synthesis is also taking place due to the intermediary product of Krebs cycle. Destruction is also taking place. So both processes taking place in Krebs cycle, synthesis as well as destruction. So we cannot call that Krebs cycle is purely catabolic pathway. We can call it is a amphibolic. Is it clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Martin, is that clear? Again, you disappeared. Martin?
Yeah, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Okay. So after the class, you have to note down this cycle as it is, right? Even you can note down right now. It's very easy. It won't take more than 3 or 4 minutes, right? So after that question, you have to write down whatever I will dictate. Then you have to note down this one, right? And after the class, you have to note down that diagram of bacteria and electron transport system for sure, right? If you won't note down, so that will be bad thing. Fine. Please note down. Uh, respiratory pathway is mainly a catabolic process, mainly catabolic process, which serve to run living system, which serve to run living system by providing energy. By providing energy. Full stop. The pathway produces a number of the pathway produces a number of intermediary compound. Full stop. Many of them are raw material. Many of them are raw material for building up both primary and secondary metabolite. Full stop. Like acetyl coenzyme A, acetyl CoA, acetyl coenzyme A. It is not only utilized in Crabe cycle, but also raw material for synthesis of fatty acid, steroids, terpenes, aromatic compound, and carotenoids. Full stop. Then you have to note down this diagram quickly.
Done, sir.
Done? Okay, Martin, is that done? Martin?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now the last thing which is left, that is RQ, respiratory quotient. By the way, it's a very simple concept. What is the RQ? Respiratory quotient. Why it is, and you will get the if you will get the question from this, either you will get to draw this diagram. This is a sketch, right? This rather than a sketch, I would call it a skeletal diagram, right, or a schematic diagram. So either you will get that draw what is the amphibolic pathway, or the most favorite question of the teacher that describe that Krebs cycle is a or respiratory pathway is not a catabolic pathway, it's an amphibolic pathway. And last one is done. Respiratory quotient. What is the RQ or respiratory quotient? It's very simple. Respiratory quotient is volume of CO2 evolved upon volume of O2 is absorbed, right? So, like you can see here, C6H12O6, oxygen is utilized and carbon dioxide is evolved, plus water and plus energy. So, the ratio of oxygen utilized and carbon dioxide evolved is called respiratory quotient. We call it RQ or respiratory quotient. Got it? And if the respiratory quotient is higher, means the uh, more CO2 evolved and less oxygen is utilized, right? Then if the RQ is higher end, it means that this is the best respiratory substrate. Look, RQ for the glucose or carbohydrate is 1. So this is the standard, right? Then RQ of organic acid is more than 1. That's why it is the best respiratory substrate. RQ of fat is very less, 0.7. It means this is bad. This is the worst one, right? Protein is, even in the protein, it's higher, right? So this is called respiratory quotient. Uh, Nothing there to like, to understand. Very simple concept. So you can note it down. What is the respiratory quotient or RQ? Note it down, please. This is the last thing which I want to tell you. You can note down definition if you want. Please note down. The respiratory quotient is the ratio of respiratory quotient is the ratio of volume of carbon dioxide produced. Respiratory quotient is the ratio of volume of carbon dioxide produced to the volume of oxygen consumed. Oxygen consumed. In respiration, oxygen consumed in respiration over a period of time, over a period of time, full stop. Its value can be 1, 0, more than 1, or less than 1. Now, please note down the formula and respiratory quotient. Quickly. that done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Martin, done? Martin? This was all about the respiration, right? Respiration in plant. And in next class, we'll start with the transport, right? So this is all about. Go through with your NCRT. Ask me if you have any doubt. Else we will wind up over here. Hopefully, at the starting of December, we'll complete our schedule as per my calculation.